I'm a pianist and a very, very passionate young musician, which music really has been the greatest passion of my life. I'm also an educator, and I enjoy a great deal working with the younger generation and inspiring them to not just enjoy music, but become great musicians themselves. So that, I think, sums it up.
We are here, and a few minutes ago you made sure that I remind again the upcoming performance of yours on November the 4th. So let me just ask you, what is going to happen November the 4th? Give us some details, and then we'll branch out to some other interesting questions for you.
Sure, it will be my pleasure. I have a very, very exciting program that day. I will be performing works inspired by folk music. And specifically, we'll be focusing on compositions of three composers that truly, I think, incorporate that idea. First is Manuel de Falla, which works of his are entirely inspired by music of his native Spain and the flamenco guitar playing and the dance. Next, we will be going to our great master, Comitas, and of course, another wonderful, wonderful figure that devoted basically his entire life and work to not just enjoying and focusing on folk music, but making sure that Armenian folk culture, folk music was heard and appreciated worldwide through his lectures in Paris and Berlin. So a remarkable figure. And lastly, that evening we'll be hearing Stravinsky's Petrushka, which is truly one of my favorite pieces to perform. It's just so energetic, so vibrant, and once again is based entirely on the Russian folk elements, folk tunes, and dances. So it's a very exciting evening that day. So I hope everyone can join us.
Karine, when you have these concerts, what is the attendance, the composition? Is it Armenians, non-Armenians? Are there students, just people who are interested in music? And what has been the Armenian participation at your concerts?
First of all, I have to say I'm extremely fortunate in having a very wide variety of audience members from any age, from any culture. And yes, absolutely, I have great support, I have to say. I'm very lucky to have wonderful support from my fellow Armenians. In fact, I have received tremendous help in my career, if I can say. Very early on, when I first came to New York, my first presentation to the musical scene of New York was through the musical Armenia presentation that was done through the Armenian Prelacy, and I had tremendous support from the AGBU. In fact, my Merkin Hall debut was partly sponsored by Artemis Nazarian and through AGBU, so I'm eternally grateful for that. And of course, the diocese that you already mentioned, we did the great celebration of Armenian culture back in April by doing not just the 95th anniversary of the genocide, but this very inspiring, uplifting, positive message of how bright Armenia's future is, which I think was what that evening was all about, the future.
You grew up in Yerevan and you came to the United States some 10, 12 years ago. Mm-hmm. And did you go back to Armenia?
Well, it's very interesting you ask that. I had not been back to my birth town in 12 years. And so for the first time in this July, we visited, and needless to say, incredibly emotional experience. To get to see some familiar things and a whole lot of new things, new positive, uplifting, incredibly optimistic changes that have taken place since I've come in. It was 1998, so back then it was still an incredibly tough time for Yerevan, for all of Armenia. And now it's just to go out in the streets of Yerevan and just see the young faces so full of energy, so ready to win over the world, if you will. It's just it was wonderful to be there, and also just the fact that I got to perform in the Aram Khachaturian Concert Hall, again thanks to the AGBU and the Armenian Philharmonic Orchestra that presented that recital. was a tremendous honor for me.
You know, obviously we can speak about many differences between the New York Armenian community and the people in Armenia. But in this area, what is it that can be done more to support Armenian artists? Or do you think enough is being done? But what can be done more?
You know, it's a very interesting and difficult, in a way, question. I mean, as I already mentioned, so much has been done and so much is being done. I would not be here if it weren't for the tremendous support that I have already received, and I'm sure I'm speaking on behalf of all of my young colleagues. At the same time, I do believe that we tend to, as a community, we do tend to sometimes become too engulfed in certain negative messages and certain, we sort of tend to be lost in the past sometimes. And I think it would be so amazing for us to constantly and continuously remember just how much there is that we can still offer, and just how many amazing, young, extraordinary people are out there in our community. And so instead of always being, sad and remembering the tough times of the past, which of course will always be in our hearts, without a doubt. But I think we really need to shift gears now. It's time for us to become the optimist community, to become the champions in every realm, whether it's the arts, whether it's the science, whether it's medicine, law, any field you want to pick. Each and every one of us, especially the younger generation, we just have to lose ourselves in what it is that we do, push ourselves, become the very, very best, get out there, and yes, make the world take notice and see our last names with the YANs and IANs, and bring pride to Armenia and make all of us walk with tall and straight backs. So.
Գիտես Կարինե, գիտեմ որ հայերեն լավ խոսիս եւ պետք է շնորհավոր եմ անգլերենդ եւ կարեւոր է այս խոսքերը շեշտենք հայերենով, որովհետեւ հայ մայրն է որ գարաչնորթե զավակը վստահ եմ կուզնողը բավական զոհված է ցեզ համար, բայց եթե խոսք ունիս ուղղելու մեր մայրերուն կամ հայրերուն, ինչ է որ գուզեիր իրենց ասել, մանավանդ երբ երաշտական խոսքը գդարես.
Առաջին հերթին, որպեսզի հավատան ինչքան շատ պոտենցիալ ունեն մեր ջահելները, մեր ծնողները շատ հրաշալի են, ես ոչ մի բացասական բան չեմ կարող ասել, ճիշտ է, շատ հաճախ գիտեմ մեր ջահելները կարող են մի փոքր բողոքեն, ասեն overprotective եւ այլն, բայց դա հրաշալի բան է, ես ինքս ունեմ իմ ծնողները այդպիսի նվիրված, ամեն իմ արարողությունների մեջ ակտիվ, ինչպես տեսնում եք հայրս այստեղ է, այսօր ամեն ինչի մեջ շատ ակտիվ մասնակից են եւ դա հրաշալի բան է, թող շարունակեն դա, միշտ քաջալերեն, միշտ ել ավելի էներգիա եւ հավատ ներշնչեն իրենց մեջ եւ շարունակենք մեր այսպիսի ուժեղ ընտանիքի արժեքները, որ մենք ունեցել ենք եւ որոնք ինձ թվում է մեզ պահել են մինչեւ այսօր. Առանց այդ արժեքների մենք չէինք դիմանա որպես ազգ եւ հիմա այստեղ ենք, որովհետեւ մենք գիտենք ինչ է ծնող ասած, ինչ է ընտանիք ասած.
Եվ եթե հարց տանք թե ցեզի ծեր այս ասպարեզի մեջ ով աստած է, ծնողքեն ճուրս, ով ցեզի ուղղություն կամ ներշնչում տված է, որու անունը գիշեք.
Ամենաառաջի անուններից մեկը իմ Երևանի հրաշալի դասատուն էր Իրինա Ղազարյանը, որը այնքան հավատ ներշնչեց ինքը իմ մեջ, դուք չեք պատկերացնի, ես 13 տարեկան էի, չափազանց ամաչկոտ եւ վախկոտ եւ ինքս ինձ մեջ ոչ մի այսպիսի արժեք չէի տեսնում, թե ոչպես որ երաժիշտ, որպես անհատ, եւ նա այնպիսի մի ուժ մտցրեց իմ մեջ եւ նկատեց որ իր խոսքերով փաստորեն ես սկսեցի նկատել որ ես կարող եմ այս գործով զբաղվել եւ շատ լուրջ ձևով